Why did you want to become a director?
I didn't really want to become a director. I wanted to make films. I knew next door to nothing about film. I wanted to be a painter. And I was a painter. And I was in a studio working on a painting of a garden at night. And the green was coming out of this black. And I heard a wind, and I saw the green move. And I said, oh, that is interesting. And I thought it would be good to do a moving painting. So there was an experimental painting and sculpture contest at the end of the year at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, where I went to school. And for that contest, I did a sculptured screen with 3 heads out of polyester resin and some painting on the screen, about 6 feet by 8 feet the screen was. And then I stop motion, kind of animated, but in a stop motion fashion, a thing that I called 6 Men Getting Sick. And that was my film in 16 millimeter, a little tiny Bell and Howell camera that had single frame capabilities.
Oh, wow. You're joking. You're actually joking. Wow. All right. Well, this is a bust.
You should have just given it to an American to stream, because you know Australian internet is trash, right?
Then how am I hearing you right now? Perfectly,
you want to apologize
crystal
to
clear.
David?
And
I don't know. You can't stream. It's buffering its tits off because it
This
can't
is
handle the
so
bandwidth.
stupid. I hate everything. Why
You
are
want
we
to play
here?
it at a lower bit rate?
No, not really. But that's all right. That's all right.
You know what? This is a perfect
the lead up.
condensation of the existential dread that David Lynch talks about in his film Eraserhead, which we're here to talk about today, right? Because it's buffering. Like, what is a perfect? Like, I had an existential dread experience this week with all of my troubleshooting I had to do for various reasons for OBS. And like, it's always like a maze. It's always like a fucking, you can't believe when you finally get to the end of it that was the thing you had to do, and you would have never predicted how you would have gotten there. And you feel trapped in this digital cage, right? Where like everything is kind of pre-constructed and you're just traveling along this road, no matter, it doesn't care about your individuality.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, this was my pick again. I got my second pick from Prague. Stole it from him, just snatched it right out of his pocket. It's all mine. All mine.
So weird.
And I spent it on this Eraserhead, which is David Lynch's first film. It took him 5 years to make this. Basically, this was his film that he made when he joined the American Film Institute, the AFI. He was financed by a friend called something Fisk, John Fisk, or and obviously his wife was Sissy Spacek at the time. I can't say names tonight. I don't know what's going on.
Are you okay?
I'm broken. Well, the fact that video didn't finish
because
you're so blurry too, and I love how the blurriness is like conveying your fucked upness of your articulation.
I think I know what the problem is, and it's hilarious to me.
Why is that? What's the problem?
You don't look great on. Like, look at the stream. Look at the stream, dog.
Your camera's streaming in 4K, and the both of us are streaming in 1080. So
I am actually streaming
a lot more
in
bandwidth than I think.
No, I'm streaming in 1080, not 4K. 1080. My video format.
It says 4K on my side.
Recording resolutions 4K.
It says 4K on the side.
Streaming resolutions 1080, but the actual camera that I'm using is I'm recording in 1080, not 4K. I don't know what's going on, but regardless.
Paradox that we have, JC, right? Because you're on a trial for a crime you never even knew or have knowledge of committing.
Yeah,
you're right. But this,
you're in Joker mode now, aren't you? Mm.
This
Oh my God.
is
Okay,
Oh my
I like
God.
that, Snoopy. I
He's
need
lost
you.
it. He's lost
Oh
it.
God.
But David
He's
Lynch
lost it.
is obviously one of my favorite filmmakers now. After watching basically going through his filmography.
Yeah.
And again, this movie took him 5 years to
It's
make.
not Roman
There's
Polanski.
no, there's a scene in this movie. There's a scene in this movie where Jack Nance,
Yeah.
who plays Henry, the main character of this movie,
Okay.
he opens the
Yes.
door to his apartment, and then it cuts to him entering the apartment. Those two shots were filmed a year apart because it took so long to make this. Jack Nance had to keep his
Wow.
hair
Yep.
like that for 5 years. He didn't cut it the whole time. I think he cut it to keep it at the right length, but there was just so many production issues with this that it took forever, and this is like a labor of hard work to get this across the line. And it's a fucking weird film as well, off the bat. I'm just going to put it there. This is one of the weirdest films I've ever seen. I know it's probably like Baby's first art house weird film, but nonetheless, it
Mhm.
is
Yep.
a very bizarre
That's a perfect.
experience. But yeah, it's a very
Yep.
bizarre experience. So do you guys want to take a crack at telling me what this movie's about?
Oh yeah, I know exactly
Hmm.
what this movie's about. This is an easy
Okay,
one.
yeah.
I
Easy
mean,
one?
like
Piece
the
of
reason
cake?
it took so long is because he wanted to hand build everything. I don't know. Will you let me tell you?
I was
Like,
just
he hand
I was
built
just
all the sets,
responding to
right?
you. What's going on? Why is everyone mad today? I feel like
I don't
everyone's
know
like
because
on
you're like,
edge.
can somebody tell me what this movie's about? And I said, yes, I think I can try. And then you go again.
No, what was it?
So, all right,
Okay.
listen.
Well, let's
It
go.
took this long. Oh my God, bro. JC, what is going on with you? Want to continue?
No,
You have no idea what this film is about. Is that what you're
I
telling
feel
me?
like I feel like there's a delay or something. I feel like there's a delay, and because I'm stopping right
Could be.
like before you're starting, and I feel like
Okay.
2 seconds later you're going, "Why are you interrupting me?" But I'm not. I'm confused.
Okay.
What's going on?
All right. So, in my view, this is a pretty standard existentialism movie, right? Existential dread movie. And if people don't know what that means, you can look to the Adult Swim series, The Shivering Truth, which is a good condensation of how existentialism is presented. And like the most classic existential dread author is the Hungarian writer Kafka, right? And he wrote a book called Metamorphosis. And many of the themes in this are also iterated in that story, right? It's about the fact there's a paradox to utilitarianism, which is what built society and civilization to this extent after World War II. And the paradox is that in order to get 100,000 people to go forward, sometimes you have to sacrifice 1,000 people. Or that if you have 3 people, in order to save 2 of them, you might have to get rid of 1 of them. Right. And so what this story is, in my view, saying is that industrialization often sacrifices the needs of the individual, because we see Jack and his wife, Susan, and even the neighbor next door and everyone kind of like being a cog in a system, and all of their individuality is weaned away. There's another storyline that goes on this, and that's the fear of creation and the resentment we have when we're giving responsibilities or obligations that we don't want. And I think that's what the baby represents. Nobody wanted that obligation, and there's a resentment towards it the whole time. And it also, like, you always have these body horror things in existentialism, especially the baby, which remind me a lot of H.R. Giger's design in Alien. And I wonder if he was inspired by that, or if that was just like, that's the way snakes and reptiles look. And I thought that was an interesting thing. And so, like, I think those 3 themes are like pervading this movie. And, what do you guys think?
Take it away, Tom. I want to hear what you think about
okay.
what this film's about.
I don't want you to get caught up with the delay or whatever.
With the delay, yeah. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yes,
I wasn't interrupting you, Prag. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say 1 and you say 2, okay? So you say 2 immediately after you hear me say 1, okay? 1.
2.
2.
It's gigantically big. Oh my god.
I mute myself
How
while you
long
talk.
was the delay?
Like 2 seconds.
How long was the delay? Oh my
2 or 3
god.
seconds.
Oh. Well, this
Casey, I
is
want
going
to
to be a feat
apologize
to
for
get through,
yelling
isn't
at you
it?
earlier. I thought you were fucking with me.
Yeah.
No.
I'm so sorry, JC.
Oh man. Do you want me
Okay,
to
so-
leave and come back and
JC,
see
do you
if
want to
that
leave and
helps?
come back in and see if that? Yeah, let's try
Here
that.
we go.
Yeah, okay. So-
I bet from
my
your
God.
end we said it at the same time, like lay it up. I was getting mad, bro. I was like, I'm not interrupting you. I'm sorry. Let me leave.
I know. Oh, fuck. I think this episode
This movie broke him.
is perfect for a review of a film like this,
Mm-hmm.
where there's like things that are out of your control and you're a subject. It's like when you're in a prison, like think of modern industrial society as kind of like a prison system. They get
Mhm.
you in a kindergarten, that you have to go through these steps. Everyone has to go work at a certain job. They all send you in and that's to make the whole fucking society do this, right? But in part of that, you lose your humanity and your individuality, right? Because like maybe you don't want to go to college. Maybe you don't want to go to a certain class schedule at high school. Maybe that's not appropriate for your skill set, right? But it's just like fucking, it's crushing. It's so
But-
massive. You
but
can't.
you do have the
don't
option
even
to
know
not
to
do
fight
that.
against it. Huh?
You do have the option to not do those things.
You have the option not to go to kindergarten or first grade. It's
Well,
the
no,
law.
like go like to college and stuff.
Well, that's where they get you, dog. They get you. You're not even aware you should revolt against certain systems at that
Mhm.
age, and they indoctrinate you. And that's not a bad thing because they also teach you how to write and do math and
Mhm.
like do good productive things. But it's also kind of like it doesn't matter what you really want because like also the path for the artist is much more onerous than like say a tradesman, right? Because
Mhm.
if you join the electrical union, you're probably going to do pretty good, right? But if you take the path of the artist, your odds are very low that you're going to succeed at that level, right? So it's kind of like things are kind of set up in a different way, and they do that on purpose, right? In order to get 400 million people forward.
I'm back. By the way.
JC's back. You look better, JC. Your color's back. You're not as blurry.
Now you're in 1080p. It says.
Yeah,
on the-
well, I'm
1080,
using.
look at that.
I've just gotten rid of this. Like using.
Do we
this
want to
camera.
start
I'm
the
just
show
using my
over? We should just
webcam.
start the whole fucking show.
No,
over.
I don't think so. I actually think
Why?
that that
I wanna get my
misunderstanding is
speech
actually
again.
pretty funny. No,
That's
I
gonna
like
be
your
a
speech.
short. It's going to be a short.
What did you
Yeah.
guys think about this? I have all my fucking intellectual bullshit. What do you guys think about it?
So I'm.
Time, you got to take a crack out of it because me and JC have both spoken for a good 40 minutes already.
No,
I feel like.
I'm trying
said
to
anything.
to convey.
I'm teasing.
There's movies that I feel that are a lot of they show a lot of things. There's a lot of themes in the movie. There's a lot of like just it's all in your face to show you what it means, and then you kind of read out about it like the kid, the alien baby, whatever. It's because they don't want to have a kid and he's rejecting it and all stuff like that. And a lot of times I'm like, okay, I guess that's it. But a lot of the movies or a lot of the things that I've seen, the themes, I think it's all bullshit. I think it's just a weird movie that David Lynch wanted to make. I don't think it means anything, honestly.
Yeah.
I
mean, he talks about
know.
what it means, though. Like, there's a lot of documentary evidence. Like, he does have a plan for this. He does work on this for many years, and he does want to make a statement, and he kind of alludes to that in interviews and stuff.
Very pretentious.
No,
Well,
I don't
art
agree.
films are pretentious.
But I
Yeah,
love the
well,
movie.
you know what?
I love the
Pretentious
movie.
is
I thought
not
it was very
bad.
pretentious, though.
Pretentious is not always bad because sometimes you have to be
very bad.
pretentious in order to push over a higher, complicated idea. And pretension just means that you have a plan behind it.
Well, if
Right?
you...
What is the definition of pretension? There's a pretense. That means that there's a plan in front of it, right? Pretense. That just means that I'm going to say something, but I thought about it beforehand. That's not necessarily a bad thing because everything is kind of pretentious because if you thought about it before you said it, it's pretentious by definition.
So I've seen a lot of interviews from David Lynch, like in regards to this movie. and like every time people try to ask him what is this film about and what is it, he never gives an answer. Like every single time. And I think one time I saw an interview, he was discussing about how all he was doing was using the language. Like he said, he was using the language of cinema to like illustrate his just like feelings, or illustrate like his sort of emotions at the time. And as soon as he like makes concrete statements about what it's about, it loses its it loses the magic that like went into it, if that makes sense. Like the movie speaks for itself, essentially, is what he's saying. Like he doesn't think that he needs to explain it.
Do you have any
Get out of it
experience
what you
with
get out of it.
Metamorphosis, JC?
I've
you
never read
like
I haven't
Naked
read
Lunch?
Metamorphosis. I know he was heavily inspired by it, though.
Okay, like because that's why he doesn't say what it's about, because everyone who knows about art and film knows Kafka, and you don't have to tell people it's Kafka-esque, because if you see the two films back to back, you'll say this is one long story. This is in a school of intellectual thought called existentialism that David Lynch always operates in. There's always this pervasive dread about this world that these characters inhabit, right? And they're it's like it's the real world, but with a dirty gauze placed over it. It's a psychedelia, but it's a negative psychedelia, because it's like a bad trip, right? And so he's deconstructing what society was to him in 1977. You have to get married, you work in the factory, you go home, you go to work, but he's putting this weirdness in it to kind of alert you to the fact that he's not happy necessarily with all of the things that we have to give up in order to get society to and we have the plumber, right? The father of Susan. And he's talking about, we put every pipe in this building. I remember this when this was a pasture. Pastoralism is very, and the abrupt. And also another thing that it's interesting is that the music in this movie is largely machines in nature, right? Except for when we go to the radiator lady and with the goiter, and she has the song like things are fine in heaven, right? But the rest of the music is all industrial noise, right? And this is why this is a very iconic industrial film for industrial musicians like Nine Inch Nails and Trent Reznor, and like this came out of a whole school of film from the 60s, right? Anybody you could name. Like this film was so revolutionary for music and pop, because like when I was growing up, this was on PBS. This was like on at 8:00 on PBS. Like everybody knew about this film, and I think that David Lynch isn't pretentious, because you see a lot of films like this, they're more pretentious. He has always a down to earthiness to it, and I think Jack is him going through that world. I think Jack is him because he's the writer and he's looking at things through him, but he's kind of down to earth, because Jack is so good with his expressions, right? He's playing Charlie Chaplin to a certain degree. It's a lot of silence in this film. There's not a lot of dialogue, but he has to tell the story with his face a lot of the time, and I think he does a wonderful job with it.
It's actually John, but okay.
It's John, but later
John.
on in his career, he went by Jack Nance. Like if you see the credits,
I can't call him John Jack. He loves. I say, hey Jack,
John.
You want to Diet 7-Up?
You know what though? You in that scene at the beginning when he's walking through like the mud, like that whole scene where he's just walking essentially. The entire time I was thinking, is this just David Lynch? That's him.
His hair is David Lynch's hair, right? Which I think Prague's kind of getting a little bit. His hair's getting a bit longer.
I have a funny story. I had a friend in high school named Philip Gentile. Shout out to Philip Gentile. Who stanned David Lynch, and he dressed like this character all through high school, and he had the fucking bag. Unironic, no, but it was very subtle. But it was also like the hair was exactly right, and like I would talk to him and we would laugh about it. But like that's the vibe. Right before the '90s, when grunge came out, I feel like the kids in high school were a little bit more fucking complicated and intellectual in this country. Because there was no internet. You had to read. That was the only thing to do other than watch the 4 TV channels. Everyone was well read, right? And so like this kind of stuff was boiling up. And I think that explosion from Nirvana and Alice in Chains was part of this cooking that happened during the 80s, the late 80s, right? It was also a reaction to like, all the things that were happening.
It's interesting that you brought up Charlie Chaplin, because I thought the exact same thing while he was walking. He has that very wide Charlie Chaplin walk. and it reminded
Mhm.
me a lot of
Little
his
Tramp.
movies, like the Tramp, the
Mhm.
Kid, and Modern Times, obviously.
Vehicle in the World.
City Lights. And I
What do you
just
think about the neighbor that seduces him? What does she represent?
femme
What is that
fatale.
about?
Well, I think she's just like temptation, or really like the kind of things we have to do to satiate ourselves in like an over industrialized world, like the kind of stuff that we have to do to get some kind of fulfillment when we're worked to death like this, or not worked to death, but you know what I'm saying? Do you, or not? Do you
I
kind of
know what
just
you're
like
saying. You
throw
know
it?
what? I'm going to say something about Canadian political philosophy that you guys might not know. But there is a thread in Canada about left-wing libertarianism, and it shows up in the writings of a drummer named Neil Peart in a band called Rush, who wrote all the lyrics. Right?
Mhm.
There is a libertarianism, but it's not right-wing necessarily; it's left-wing. And I think that David Lynch is very much in that school because he wants to maintain the integrity of the individual in the context of the greater society. There's no color in this movie. There's no music, really. There's no joy. The little things that we decorate our homes with are missing. And he's
Mhm.
trying to strip it all down and lay bare, And he's asking, please don't forget about the artist. Please, like, everyone can't work in the factory. Somebody has to do some art. I think that's kind of what he's been saying in his whole career. And I could just be like, that's just my impression.
I also, what I also found interesting is like there's a heaps of motifs in this that carry on throughout David Lynch's career. Obviously, the blonde woman who sings on stage, he's done that like 5 times. The zigzag carpet, the red. Well, we don't know if they're red, but like we can assume they're
That's
red
Kafka.
curtains.
That maze, and Kubrick uses it too all the time.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a direct homage to Kafka. It's a maze. The world society is an industrial maze, is what he's saying.
And
you're a rat.
There's also that there are
That's
some
what he's
really
saying.
there are some funny moments in this movie. I really like when the when the mother like asks him to come around the corner, and she's like have you had sexual intercourse in the last 7 days? And
It's like this.
She's like, if you don't tell me, and then she starts kissing him.
She just
Like,
starts kissing his
He's
neck.
kissing
It's
her
like,
neck. He's like,
her name's the daughter's name's Mary, right? It's
Oh,
Mary.
yeah,
It's Henry and Mary.
Is it
I'm
Susan
pretty sure.
or Mary? I thought it was
Mary.
Susan.
The
That's not
daughter.
an S
I
too.
thought it was interesting that how they talk about the
Mary,
relationship
yeah.
between the two main the wedding that they have. It kind of was the way it was in the 70s, right? There wasn't like necessarily like if you knock somebody up, you had to get married, and like
Straight
a lot
away,
of people
yeah.
got married that shouldn't got married, and a lot of people like thrown together, and I think they play that very well because like there's no coziness with the two of them. Like she's always tripping out, and they're locked in this fucking bedroom, with the baby who looks like a reptile, and she's like he goes to touch her one time, she's like immediately shakes it off, and it's interesting. I think he's talking about just like relationships in society, like some of them shouldn't be.
This also reminded me. I feel like Charlie Kaufman has gone over like the kind of themes that this movie goes into. Like, one of my favorite movies of all time is his most recent one. I'm thinking of Ending Things, and there's a scene where he meets her, like she meets her boyfriend's parents, and they're all just sitting around in silence, like in this awkward kind of ritual that we go through like day
Rosemary's
by day.
Baby.
Yeah, and then it moves to the dinner table, and again they're all just kind of awkwardly sitting there because they have to, because this is kind of what is expected to happen in these situations.
We got the new little chickens. They're brand new. They're weird, but they're little.
Yeah.
So excited. And then it's like you carve it.
They're man-made
They talk
chickens?
about I don't know if you guys have picked up on that when he's saying, "Can you carve it?" and then the fear that the guy feels. That was something that if you went over to somebody's house on Thanksgiving, they would
The head
test
of the
you
family
with
did
to
that,
make
yeah.
sure you could carve the bird correctly.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like terrified
It's like
to do it, and then it
this
starts
big.
bleeding and like doing the thing. Yeah, those are Cornish game hens. Essentially, is what he's using in that.
They're tiny.
They're
like
no
how
bigger
you-
than the size of my fist.
Yeah, yeah,
I love the plumber
exactly.
was the funniest guy in the whole thing. I think.
He's
He's
in
He's like, there's what do you say? There's pipes and everything. Look at my knees, but we don't get to see his knees, which is
Oh,
very
no.
disappointing.
I think we
Mhm.
see him in the 3rd season of Twin Peaks.
Yeah?
I'm pretty sure that actor's in the. I watched the
I
first
feel like
episode.
he's
I'm pretty
been-
sure he's in
yeah.
it. He's been in a bunch of stuff as well, but yeah, I really love movies that go over the kind of weird rituals that we do as people, because society it just expects us to. Like, just when you have a new boyfriend, you have to go and meet the parents, so you have to go and sit down at the dinner
Yep.
table and have these awkward silences where you sit there and you don't know what to talk about.
And meeting my boyfriend's parents, it sucked.
Never
Oh
happened
my
to me.
God, yeah,
I've
it must
never
be
had an
crazy.
awkward silence in my life, JC.
Did they ask about how you met, and then you had to tell them how you met him, or
How I met him, yeah.
yeah.
What about the drawer with the wishing well in it? Like you bring that point. He has a drawer where he has this little wishing well where he puts coins. Did you notice that?
Yes, I
Throws it
did
in there,
notice
That's just like the
that,
one hopeful sign in this movie. He still got hope. He still gets up every day. He still puts his suit on and wanders to the or like he's on vacation for a little thing, which is funny too.
Yeah.
But he keeps going. And it's interesting that this character keeps going, and that's also not a negative thing, because this movie could just be him laying down in a bed crying the whole time at the world that is around him. Because like, as tough as my life is, imagine if you had to live in that world. You know, it's so depressing.
What's
And
up
I
with
love-
the grass everywhere?
Yeah, the weeds
The
have been
moss?
growing everywhere.
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't have time to like keep
I
his
think-
apartment. I think it's just like
It's the no. It's like they're
It's like
thinking
that-
about the way the natural world. It used to be a pastoral country village life, and now it's industrial. Everything's cemented over, and then this moss keeps growing as like a reminder of the past. I think. Now that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it
That's
is,
just you, yeah.
but I'm trying to use my brain to guess. And
I
try.
saw it
that's
as-
what we do here.
I saw it as kind of his
I'm asking.
like his mental well-being, like the fact that he can't he doesn't have time of self-love and self preservation. So like his apartment just like it grows and grows and grows, like it just keeps getting like and he just can't maintain it because he doesn't have the time or the self-care to maintain
I think
it,
he
if
knows
that makes
something's wrong,
sense.
but he can't put his finger on it, and he doesn't know what to do about it, because these expressions are always like he's thinking about like, this is not right, all the time, but
Yeah.
he doesn't know what to do or what to think about to fix it, because this world he lives in is just like, this is the way it is, and in some ways it reminds me of Stalker and some of the
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
right? Like, and that's all coming back to, shout out to Kafka again, right? All these guys know that it's like, very embedded in if you go to art school, you're going to learn about Kafka in the first month,
Yeah.
right? And these guys all went to art school, right? And there's a lot of like mixed media artists that went to art school, like David Bowie and Maynard from Tool and David Lynch, and sometimes they go into movies, and sometimes they make a rock band, or sometimes they do all the things like David Bowie did, right? But it's like he wants to work in. It doesn't matter what his medium, David Lynch is saying. He's saying, I've been a fine artist, but I wanted to add movement to it. But I still want to talk about these same things that concur in all of his films that you keep seeing. And I think that's what a real artist does. Like, it doesn't matter the medium, right? It just matters who does it.
I also love the idea that you know how trees, you have something small, you have like a seed, you pour a little water on it, you have a little bit of soil, and it grows into something huge and like beautiful. But in this film, there's like on his bedside table, there's this huge mound of dirt. Like he's putting so much effort into keeping this essentially like a twig. It's almost like a dead twig alive. Like he's putting so much soil and dirt onto this like mound for this like really thin.
But it's alive.
Tree.
It's still
It
alive.
is alive. It is alive.
Right?
But
And that's
like,
what it's trying to say. He's like, he's still going.
like to
even
me
though it
that
seems
kind
futile.
of but also it kind of feels like you put so much into your life and get very little out of it.
Well, can I drop something on you? It says, I wrote this up. The horror of realizing that there's no higher meaning, but you must keep living anyway.
Is that
Right?
what
That's at
Lynch
the
said?
core. That's at the core of this concept of existential dread, that you keep going even though they're like, it's like you stop asking whether there's something bigger than yourself, but you still have to keep going because you have the survival instinct, right?
Agreed.
And like there's the theme of being punished for simply being alive, right? You have the baby, you have him, all the characters, like they're in this punishment system just because they exist. And that's what existentialism is. Your existence is on trial. Like, what does it mean to exist? Like, am I here to be punished by an insurance company, or say I got arrested for a crime I didn't commit and be put in prison? Like, why am I here? Right? This is another way of looking at your existence through a non-religious narrative. This is a secular humanist analysis of being. Usually it's the church that gives you that, right? You're being because you have a higher purpose. You're going to elevate someday. This is like something that happened in the Enlightenment, where we started to look at things not through the context of religion, but through a more intellectual, deductive reasoning system. And that's where you get this arts system from.
Can anyone give me an explanation as to why the blonde lady on the stage had the
goiter?
the weird cheeks? I
think she had when your thyroid glands fail, they can inflate, and that's a goiter. And I think he didn't. That's the best he could have done with budget he had.
the
but I think she has a goiter, and you can get that from the chemicals in the water. Well, usually it's environmental shit that gets your like all the processes, right, of this, right? Sometimes. Like usually what they do is before you get a goiter nowadays, they just eliminate your thyroid and they give you Synthroid, a synthetic version of the hormone that it produces. Otherwise, sometimes it just inflates like in the old days. I think that's what they're saying.
Is that something that happens to singers often? Is that kind of like, or
I
not?
think it's genetic, or it's also just environment. It's like it's just like one of those weird things that happens to humans, and it's body horror, which is another big thing. Like, you always see birth stuff in existential stuff because it's such a weird thing to have a living creature in your body that emerges from your vagina, and then you have to raise it, and it's a stranger to you, right? And they always talk about this, and we just saw all of those movies from Polanski, and a lot of those existential dread things were happening in those. We've been in an existential dread movement on this show, which is pretty cool.
I mean, we're just going through the Lynch filmography at the moment, so it makes sense. But did you know the prop for the weird alien goat baby thing? That thing to this day they still haven't revealed what it was and how they made it. It's still they don't know if it was made of a goat's head or a sheep's head or a lamb skin, or what the insides were. Like, David Lynch just refuses to answer what the actual prop is and what it was made of.
We should ask him right now.
It's cool for 1977 because it gets that glisten. It's got that wetness to it. It doesn't look like plastic or whatever. And you can see the pneumatic system, that you can see how it goes through the wall, and some scenes are under the table, and he's got pumps, right? He's obviously using air bladders to move it. But he must have gotten some advanced plastics or something, I feel like. It looks like very modern, the materials they use nowadays for special practical effects.
And it does.
Do you think it was organic material?
I think some of it was organic, yeah, for sure. But
that head looks just like Giger's alien, though, right?
But I'm talking about the insides, like the organs and stuff.
Okay,
when he snips it looked like an actual heart.
So I googled it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Here we go.
By the way, the creepiest part of that baby was how its eyes moved so realistically, or it looked realistic.
That's the part that I.
You see that a lot of the Tool videos too. You see a lot of that shit in the Tool videos that
music video.
Adam Jones.
So someone asked on Reddit a year ago in the David Lynch subreddit, how did they make the Eraserhead baby move so lifelike? The top answer is, I seem to recall reading that Lynch always refused to say how it was made.
Good answer.
The reply to it. He bought a baby from a crackhead and then got all artsy on its infant ass.
No.
So that's what I'm going with.
But I will say it does answer the question. It does answer the question I had for Cannibal Holocaust. They could have had an animatronic. They could have had an animatronic turtle, 100%. If they can do this,
Of course.
then they
No,
could have
they've
done
wanted to harm that turtle on purpose.
Yeah.
They're
I mean, but that was
cuckoo.
one of the questions we had.
Cocaine's
It's
a
like,
hell of
could
a
they
drug.
have done it?
I
And
feel
it's
like they're all coked up out in the jungle or some shit, dog.
Yeah. But I don't know if there was any animals harmed in this movie. Like, he won't tell us. He just won't tell
I don't
us.
think so, Jay. I don't. That's not my vibe that I get. It doesn't look very like
those little
I don't
fetuses
know.
that the
You could have gone to the
They were
butcher and
pretty
got some
real.
pig
I don't
intestines.
know.
Yeah, but
You know,
they
could
had
be
it on
butchering.
umbilical cord, right?
Oh yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, it was gross, dude. But again, I find this movie very interesting to watch. I was tired while watching this, so there were parts of it where I was like, but I found the movie fascinating. And I feel like a lot of this movie, like, you can't really put into words what it's actually about. Like, I feel like it's important to just, feel it. Do you not agree, Prag? Do you feel like?
Because that's what existential dread is. You know there's something
It's a
wrong, but you can't
feeling.
put your finger on it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
some things trigger our existential dread. Like, say you have a hangnail, like you have a fingernail that's too cut to trim, but you have to like wait for it to grow, but you're like not want to catch it on your sweater, and so you're like just waiting for something to happen. Like, that's an example of, and like I suggest people check out the Adult Swim series, The Shivering Truth, which is an animated series about this subject, to really delve down to what it is, and you'll get it. It's just this fucking, like, when you have the flu, again, I'm Ari Aster pill too. It's this, like, there's something wrong. I don't feel well. Like, just before you throw up, that feeling you get that something's wrong, but you don't know exactly what it is. And then right before you feel terrible, and then you throw up. That's what the dread is, right? What is it?
Yeah, and that's what you feel watching this movie. Also,
it's like cosmic terror. Like, Cthulhu is lurking in the stars somewhere. Like, all of that relates back to this pervasive, bigger than yourself presence that's crushing you, right? Like, there's something bigger than you, and you can't deal with it, but you just want to be yourself, right? It's more of a concept about what you're thinking about yourself, and then what is not yourself. And these are the things that are not yourself, to better understand who you are. That's where these intellectual ideas came from, because people are trying to figure out about themselves. And so they say, well, what is the world? And then you get all of these concepts that emerge from it. And, they're trying to figure it out. And so they sculpted and they painted, and they're like, oh, why is it like this? And they make scenes about it. And he's just trying to figure out the world just like we are, but he's doing it in a more epidemiological way. Oh my God. Okay. And so it's like, it's a plan, it's a script, and that is a pretense. The pretense is, I want to talk about existential dread, and we're going to make a movie.
I also love that there's some techniques in this film that end up getting used later in other stuff that are more mainstream. Like when they're sitting in the bed and they like sink into the bed and they go under the thing. They use that in Nightmare on Elm Street when obviously Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed, and like that's
when he's with the neighbor, he's having sex with the neighbor, and they're like this warm liquid. Is that what you're talking about? When they're hugging, it's like a hot tub, right?
In the bed. Yeah, it's a hot tub.
I think he's trying to say, like, when you're having sex, you almost turn into a warm liquid experience with the other person, right? I think that he was trying to convey, because you become one, and the heat and the liquid kind of like merges, and you fall into it. I think that's what he was saying.
Would you describe sex as being like a warm liquid that you fall into, like Craig just described?
With men, yes. Women, not so much.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. You get it. You get it.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. And Prag's back.
Man,
You didn't hear what he said. You didn't hear what
It's
he
a theory.
said.
I don't know. Like, it's okay to like make up what you think things are in a movie. It's okay to say, well, I think this is what I felt it was about. Like, I think David Lynch wants that too. Like, he wants to have a new revelation from his audience. Like, maybe someone will say, if he was alive, like, I noticed this thing, and then David Lynch can say, oh shit, you know what? Maybe that is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think that artists want to put their minds out there so that other people can help them pick through it and say, oh, this might be this. And you're like, oh, maybe it is that.
Yeah, no, literally. I think that's 100% how
Right.
David Lynch like responds to anyone talking about this film. Is he's always like, I'm not going to explain it because I made this using the language of cinema, and that's what's speaking. Like, I don't need to use my language. I just use
Metaphor.
Yeah, I've used it already. Like, that's the
Allegory.
explanation. Now you can just take from it what you want. Like, that's kind of how he saw it.
Well, that's poetry, isn't it? Metaphor and allegory are ways to describe poems. And he's doing a poem, but he's doing it in film form. He's not writing it out. He's doing the visual. The whole thing is a poem. It's a poem. Don't think of it as a narrative structure, because poems are like that. They're very ethereal and descriptive and emotional. He's talking about emotions, and there's no real language for emotions other than poetry.
You're right, 100%. What I also wanted to say was this is the film that created the quote that David Lynch is probably most known for when he was at the BAFTAs, and the interviewer
Polanski was right.
The interviewer basically asked him to explain
Right? Is that what he said?
I
Eraserhead.
think so.
No.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the court, and he says, "Believe it or not, Eraserhead is my most spiritual film." And the interviewer goes, "Elaborate on that." And he goes, "No."
No.
And then
Yes.
what is
Yes.
it?
Yeah, because it's obvious. Because it's so obvious. Because like the central character is David Lynch, and he's looking at the world and at that time period in his life.
He
and
has
like,
his
it's very
hair.
obvious related
like
to
that.
these other art
Yeah.
themes.
That is my favorite quote from David Lynch. No.
Based.
No.
Based.
Okay.
Based.
Based.
Bars.
Absolute cinema.
Bars.
I don't think artists want to sit down and explain their art. Like they want to
No.
make more art, right?
Yeah.
So like it's always like, figure it out for yourself. I'm working on something else. I don't care anymore what it was about. He probably doesn't care anymore what it was about. It mattered to that age, David Lynch, in that period. And then he got it out of him. He threw it up on the floor or purged it or presented it to the altar, whatever context you want to put it in. And then he's like, I want to make Mulholland Drive. I want to explore more Dennis Hopper
Hollywood,
vibes.
yeah.
Like, he wants to keep going. And like, never ask, it's usually not a good idea to ask them what this is.
What it's
because they
about,
want you
yeah.
to, it should be
They want you
obvious
to-
to a certain extent.
They
He
want
fails.
you
He feels
to
like he
experience
fails if
something.
you have to explain all of it. He's like, well, I think it should be pretty obvious what it's about, is what he's trying to say.
Time, did you enjoy this film? I'm going to ask you directly. Did you enjoy this film?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes. You haven't seen the movie Friendship, huh?
No, is that the one with
Okay.
Is that the one with
Tim Robinson.
Tim Robinson, yeah.
Paul Rudd, yeah. Prague has, except I told him to watch it. I feel like this movie, when I was watching it, it felt like Friendship and all of Tim Robinson's sketches. It felt like this movie if you just ripped out all the comedy, because you just sat in the uncomfortableness of the movie. Because like even at the dinner table, the dad is just looking at him and smiling, just staring at him, and there's such a long break before anything happens, and he's just like,
the dad just wants to eat.
And it's just there's so many moments that just linger.
Yeah.
And it made me so uncomfortable, but I loved it.
Made me anxious. This movie made me anxious. And I've seen it 7 times, and I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. I'm too stoned for this movie at one point. And I've seen this movie 11 times. And it's still claustrophobic. And it's like, is my life that fucking broken? Right? It makes you ask, am I just like going through the motions? Am I not trying to fucking push the, like he needs to try to escape that system.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, I don't know if that's the intention.
It's funny that you mentioned Tim Robinson and like his vibes, because I actually, from not just this movie, but from in general, I get a lot of David Lynch vibes from Eric Andre and his show, and the way that he sets up jokes. It's always
Eric
like
Andre's very funny.
Very funny and very like very mundane.
Tim and Eric do stuff like this because they're always pointing a mirror at society and how absurd it is. It's an absurdist view. The name of the production company David Lynch had for this, wasn't it like Absurdia or something? Yeah. Because like absurdicism is another intellectual tradition that paints like looking at the world, trying to figure it out. But like, what if we paint it with clown colors and craziness, and like we brighten and bring out the contrast and highlight the colors so we can understand it better. It's just like a scientific experiment on society.
What's also really interesting is that David Lynch like barely ever like discusses what the baby represents or what it's like what it's meant to mean. But his daughter, who was born with clubbed feet and had to get surgery to fix it, like a very expensive surgery to fix it. She's actually said that she thinks the baby was partly inspired by her, and I can't even imagine watching this movie and thinking, yeah, that thing, that's me.
That's me.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I love it.
What is club feet?
It's like their feet. It's basically like their feet are turned inwards, sort of, and it's like
a penguin.
Can't really, see, they turn outwards or inwards. They can't really walk properly.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had to get.
I think it's about the resentment towards obligated responsibility too. I think that baby represents something that nobody asked for, and like the first time they bring it up, he's like, "We didn't have sex 9 months ago." Yeah, like, it's a little premature.
Yeah, it's
and
early.
Like, okay, are you guys gonna get married? I'm like, okay, and then in the next scene, they're in the fucking apartment, and this monster reptile is just on the kitchen counter, and she's trying to feed it, and it's like, and then like they're responsible for it now, and if like they turned away from it, that would be evil.
I mean, she leaves him.
The most uncomfortable I felt in the film is when the lights are flickering and the baby's gotten huge. And it's like moving around, and then it gets closer to the cat. Oh,
I've never played Five Nights at Freddy's, but I'm assuming that's what it's like.
Yeah. It reminded me of SCP Containment Breach. Back in the day with the moving. Just freaky stuff.
I have another crazy allegory to the concepts in this. The album,
we can only take one. We can only take one, so you got to save it for next episode.
No. The album "Dark Side of the Moon" by Pink Floyd. You guys know that record?
I love that record.
There's a teleplay by the BBC that Roger Waters helped write that breaks down those concepts in that album, and it's a play, right? It's a spoken word radio play, and there's a lot of left wing criticism of utilitarianism in that as well, which is that don't totally subvert the interest of the individual for the benefit of the whole society. And Roger Waters said this album is about that, and in some ways this movie is about that too. And I found a lot of parallel because I listened to that recently, and I saw that he's trying to communicate a lot of the same things. And it's not a right-wing libertarianism where the individual is always more important than anyone else. It's like we have to put it in the context. There needs to be a bifurcation of the two interests, like a bicameral body, like the House and Senate, where one is like does one function and the other one checks and balances.
And I think he developed that even further in The Wall as well.
That's totally about isolation. Yeah, I mean, he writes about that stuff. It's really interesting. They're very high form.
I listened to The Wall for the first time, like in its entirety. Like a couple years ago. Terrifying album. Terrifying.
I hope it was the Pink Floyd version, not the Nostalgia Critic version of The Wall.
No, the real one. Well, I'll tell you what, The Wall has the trial.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
You should watch the the movie The Wall is the way to enjoy The Wall. It's a great Bob Geldof performance, and it has many other musical sections that are different. But like there's the trial at the end of The Wall. That's a directly lifted from the Metamorphosis and the Trial of Joseph K. by Kafka. So again, like Kafka gets beat to death out here.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Kafka. And for good
loves
reason.
To iterate on Kafka as well.
Well, I mean, the artists that make these other films love him, is what I'm saying. The other artists love him.
Kafka was a hack.
Well, he was an original because everyone's derivative of him.
He abused his wife.
I don't know anything about
Gotcha.
the Hungarian
Gotcha, Kafka.
philosopher. Like, I don't know. Maybe.
I made that up. I don't know. I made that up.
You don't know that.
I
Please
don't know
don't.
shit.
The Kafka
I
family.
barely know the name Kafka.
There was
Well,
also
now you know. But I'll tell you what. Now you're not going to forget.
I'm gonna forget.
there was also a
You saw this.
fantastic-
If the more David Lynch movies you see, the more these themes keep concurring. You're going to see these themes concur in other movies.
Mm. There
Maybe,
was also a
Yes.
fantastic movie I saw a few years ago called The Wolf House, which was it was all set inside a house, and it's stop motion animation, but it's like paper mache, and basically the camera spins around the house, like, and the whole
Ew,
time
that looks weird.
it rotates, but yeah, it like
On the rail.
yeah,
They have like a rail?
but it's
Yeah.
stop motion, and
Oh, that's
like,
cool.
but it's paper mache, so they're creating all these different
Mhm.
scenarios inside the house. It's like black and white with some color, and it kind of reminded me
some
of
artists that do that.
the kind of existential claustrophobia that this film touches on. But it's also
There's an artist named Jules Cope that does animation like that, the paper mache stop motion stuff. Really cool.
Yeah,
I just clicked on the poster for the Wolf House, and Prague has to watch it now because there's a little quote on the front cover of it. It says, "Brilliant, really one of the most amazing things I had ever seen." Ari Aster.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it tonight. Is it on YouTube? Where can I watch it?
The Wolf
I'll look it up
House,
right now.
somewhere. I don't know.
Tubi,
We'll have to look it up.
Tubi,
Tubi?
Tubi's goated, dog.
Tubi.
Anytime I have a question, Tubi's always there to answer. It's just like you have to watch the commercials though, and those are annoying though, because I don't like the fucking interruptions, especially when it's a good scene and they don't.
Yeah.
But okay, that's good to know.
But no, I really enjoyed this film. I didn't get all of it, obviously, but I don't think you're meant to. I think it's all about the feelings and the existential
Dread.
dread and the weight of the world on your shoulders. I also before I score this up, I also really love like when he visits Mary's house, and out the front there's just like this huge gust of wind blowing, like just massive. And I love the way it looks and everything. Like it's almost like they threw mist at a ginormous fan. And yeah, it looks amazing. It kind of reminds me of something that what's his name? The guy.
Roman Polanski.
No. Another director, Tim Burton.
That's his name.
Would do.
Tim Burton.
Yeah, that Tim Burton would do in like either Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Edward Scissorhands, or like that sort of vibe. I don't know if you felt that way or not. There's also hints of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari as well. Just a lot of
JC. That's a very important film.
Like German
The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a very artsy movie that is inspired so many other things, right? So this isn't like something that you're first encountering, right? Because that definitely but like that's much more tame compared to something like this. Like
this, yeah.
Like
this pushes
Albert Camus. Have you ever read Camus' The Stranger or anything like that?
No, I haven't read a lot of. Unfortunately, I haven't read a lot of books.
Well, you got to get to the reading. The good stuff is in the books, guys. It's not in the film. All that stuff is the stuff that comes out of the reading.
All right,
that comes from the Dostoevsky and all of the stuff. The work.
So basically, fuck movies. We're now a book podcast. We're going to review books from
everything.
now on.
Do everything.
Next week, we're reading The Metamorphosis by Kafka.
I mean, you can listen to it books on tape. Just get the information. I'm saying, like, just get the summary if you don't have the time. But like, get the information from these things that you hear about. But you're like, well, what is it? I don't have time to read The Stranger by Camus. Well, find out what it's about at least, just so you understand the world better and to help you. You know, these are amazing triumphs of humanity.
I watched 1984. I read 1984.
Books.
That was a great book. That was incredible.
That's a banger. Orwell's a great writer, like Down and Out
Orwell.
in Paris and London, and he might be my favorite writer. Right, Burmese Days is a fucking fap-worthy book about colonialism in Asia, and like how the system was failing, you know, and all those things. Like he was a journalist in the Spanish-American War. That's where he saw the world for the first time, and why he has such resonant political philosophies, because everything was during the Spanish, not Spanish American War, the Spanish Civil War. Please excuse me. The Spanish Civil War laid out the fight of the 20th century for the first time versus fascism and democracy, right? And so then everything that was written in all of the World War II and everything that came afterward was started in that Spanish Civil War or later, after World War II.
I just want to. I want to illuminate that Prague Pro used the word "fap-worthy" in a review of a David Lynch film, and I think David Lynch would
For
appreciate
Burmese
that.
days,
Talking about
not for David.
books. He was talking about a book, yeah.
Yeah, but he did. But during a review of
Animal Farm.
Eraserhead.
Animal Farm is the greatest book about the Russian Revolution ever written, because it lays out the whole things that happened, but in a way you can understand, because it's doing it in a play about horses and pigs and dogs. And the Pink Floyd album Animals is also based on Orwell's Animals, which
Animal
is based
Farm.
on the Russian Revolution, and understanding, because that all the things that happen to us later come from these philosophical conflicts. And why things are the way they are now is over time and iteration from those things.
And people don't know this, but the yogurt Danimals is actually based on the book Animals.
Animal Farm.
And Grannies, the clothing brand at Sears, is also based on the oligarchy, and it's very metaphorical.
Everything ties back.
Trotsky,
it ties back.
And it all started with Plato.
The Greeks are very influential in being intellectuals, because there were Sumerians and Egyptian thought leaders, but it was mostly about mathematics, and they weren't really talking about day-to-day lives of people. And that's what the Greeks did. And they had these plays that they would put on, and they would write in allegory and conversation. If you were going to write a philosophical piece as an ancient Greek, you were going to put 4 characters in, and they were going to be having a conversation. And that's where plays came from. And that's where movies came from. They were trying to intellectualize the world, and that's how they did it, because they recognized that within us there are multiple versions of ourselves, always in conflict, and everything is an emanation of that.
Even the makeup of the woman on the stage reminded me of the Trip to the Moon, the original Trip to the Moon, and the way that kind of looked as well. You know what I'm talking about, where they
Claire de Lune, absolutely.
Yeah,
the original 20s movie, the great French film, right? Where
It's
they show
iteration.
everyone's seen it, and the black and white, and it's just a great first science fiction movie where they have the all the handcrafted sets where they launch into the moon, and this rocket launches into an eye, and they get out. They're doing all, that was, what year was that? The 1919? It was very early.
Yeah.
But what a banger!
Banger.
Banger. All day.
I'm not going to say a huge amount more, because I think the movie speaks for itself, and you should watch it. And David Lynch doesn't want it explained, so I'm not going to either. I give this an 80 out of 100. It's great. It's really good.
Okay.
Time.
Do you want to?
I think this movie was a lot of weird stuff put together. I don't think it really had any meaning or any depth to it. And then I think partway through, he did the whole dream sequence where his head fell off, and then they took a chunk of his head and made it into an eraser. I think that was a huge FU to the title. So I think it was kind of like a parody, a spoof of his own work.
It didn't relate to anything else.
It didn't. It was weird. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie though. I enjoyed
What's
the
the
way
score? Did you give it a score?
No, not yet. I enjoyed the way it made me feel. With the whole dread and uncomfortableness, and just kind of sitting in that perpetual sadness. I did like the way that felt. It was interesting, and it's very David Lynchian the entire way. I like Jack/John Nance a lot. He's a really good actor for what I've seen. So yeah, I think as a movie it's fine. It didn't wow me, but I did enjoy watching it, so I'm going to give it a 73.
Good score.
So this movie is resonance with meaning and subtext, and it's all metaphor. It's all allegory. Every scene is trying to tell you something about the larger
two ends of the
narrative.
Spectrum,
I love it.
I mean, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
And this is my opinion. It's very emblematic of art school films, and it launched 1,000 ships and 1,000 other directors and artists. It's very much in the vein of existential thought over the course of 100 years now, almost, of this very well trod concepts, right? The Pencil Factory to me is a direct allegory for what society can do to a person. Line them up. Eraserhead is really about erasure of the being, of the individual, right? It's erasure of the mind, in my opinion. And he doesn't, it's all, he has the hair, and he wants people to laugh a little bit and say, oh, it's Eraserhead, because of the hair. But it's also these things too, right? I don't think he just like I've seen a lot of art films, and I've seen a lot of them where they're just throwing shit on the screen that's weird. And there's really nothing, there's no narrative connectors, and there's no lines. And so this to me is very plain spoken as what it wants to do, in my opinion, right? But I also have a long history with these concepts, like these things, right? So I see it because I know, if you go through a new forest in Belgium and you don't know anything about the local trees, it's just going to look like a tree to you. But if you grew up around white oaks and you know the differentials, you're going to say, well, that's a white oak, and you can tell because of this, this, and this, right? To me, it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
it's just it just seems very plain to me. And I love it, and it's a great movie. I think it's a 92, and I think it's a good way for people to get interested in art films. I think it really is. It's not too, a movie like Stalker, it's so long and it's tough, bro. It's a long haul. This is about 100 minutes. I think they could have clipped about fucking 15 minutes off the end. I think he didn't know how to end it to a certain extent, and he kind of sussed it together. We're gonna have a blow up head. We have to end the movie, right?
Yeah.
So I think the message that he conveyed to me is very clear, and I enjoyed the movie. And David Lynch is a goat.
I just want to point out this movie came out in 1977. You gave it 90 or 92?
I mean, we're talking about 90, 92.
92, yeah.
91. Let's just make it a 91.
91.
For
nice.
For the
So this
for
movie,
Philip Gentile when we graduated.
W. Philip Gentile.
W. Phil. You know what? Last time I talked to him, he was doing roller derby refereeing in Portland, Oregon. This is one of the goats that I had so many cool older people in my high school class that helped me become cool, because they were into all this alternative shit, man.
And look at who you
maybe
hang
people
out
don't
with
think
now.
I'm cool, but I'm just saying, help me see the world just beyond
Shape your world,
the way things were presented in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Back then, you could have just got what you were delivered.
You had your
they
own
showed me
personal
things
David
like
Lynch.
Robotech, the anime series, for the first time, and REM and alternative music. IRS Records was popping off at the time, and all these things, really add up, over time.
So I want to point out that this movie came out in 1977, the same year as Star Wars. And so
double feature.
David Lynch was asked by George Lucas to direct Return of the Jedi, the third one.
Good.
So I want to say, George Lucas, he saw this film, Eraserhead, and he went, he'd be perfect for Star Wars. Let me just point that out to you.
Yeah.
That would have been a mistake, like Dune was. Dune was the same mistake, because they weren't going to let him make a David Lynch Return of the Jedi. They were going to make David Lynch conform to what they wanted at Fox, right? And you can't do that. You got to let David Lynch be individually produced and write, and just don't send any executives to David Lynch's house to tell him to change anything, please. You want to get fucking cooked IRL? Yeah. Go to David Lynch and tell them that we don't think the focus group liked this part. And you're going to get a verbal whipping.
Yelling.
No, it's not even yelling. He's just going to take you apart piece by piece verbally in a very nice way. But he's just going to take everything apart, and he's going to lay it all out, and then he's going to put it back together and stuff.
This is all
he's just
crap.
This is a genius.
All of this
you can't treat
crap
with geniuses like other people. It's not going to work.
George Lucas, he's a garbage director. He crap. But yeah,
what was the movie you made right after this? Elephant Man.
Elephant Man, yeah.
Which was we didn't talk about the black and white of this movie and how well lit it was. I love how the lamps were like suns. Like it's like a light bulb sun effect, right? Because it's so dark and black in here. And there's this scene where he's walking in the apartment, this beautiful globe and the light, and it's just white, right? It's just black and white, but it gives the luminosity. It's interesting. And one of the, like Elephant is one of the great black and white movies too. If I like black and white stuff, I think it's cool.
And I love the way that like the specs and everything are lit, like backlit, like especially this shot, like the background that I've put here. I love this shot. I mean, it's very famous, obviously, but when it's moving, and it's shimmering, it looks just incredible. So there's just like so many great images in this. What are we doing next week?
Whose turn is it?
It's Time's.
Huh?
I had already committed to picking a movie.
Okay.
And then I heard news that we are getting a third Gremlins.
All right.
So Dante
that got me excited because
who's directing?
G2 is fire.
Who's directing it? Do you know?
Spielberg, I think.
No, it's not
He's
Spielberg.
directing Gremlins 3?
No,
he's
producing
it.
It's not Spielberg.
He's not gonna.
It's not Dante.
It's
I'll tell you
not
that.
fucking
I know
Dante.
who he is. I know
he
who
dead?
he is. Hold on.
Joe Dante?
I don't think so.
It's Chris Columbus. It's Chris Columbus.
Is he alive?
Who the hell is Chris
He's
Columbus?
alive. He made
Isn't
Harry
Chris
Potter.
Columbus directed the first one, didn't he?
it's gonna suck.
Chris Columbus is fire.
gonna suck.
Listen, I'm a Chris Columbus head for family movies. He's really good at that shit, dog.
It's not a family movie. Gremlins is not a family movie.
Okay, I mean,
it is. I watched it with my family.
I remember seeing Gremlins 1 in the theater, and it was fire.
But yeah,
G2,
so Chris
G2
Columbus.
is fantastic.
Chris Columbus
I love it.
directed
You know I
Home
love it too. Don't get
Alone.
me
He
started.
directed Harry Potter. He directed Mrs. Doubtfire. It's gonna be good.
When the Gremlins
Okay, you know
first,
what?
like all the different
Home
characters,
Alone
the
and
village
Mrs.
people.
Doubtfire. Goonies. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Mrs.
Kind of back
Doubtfire
in.
is a horror movie.
That's
Because the
like 10
kids
times I
know
said
it's their
that.
dad, and they have to pretend they don't
They don't know that. They don't know it till like
How
a
could
quarter
you
of
not
the
know?
movie.
Like if you dressed up like Mrs. Doubtfire tomorrow, and I had to pretend that I thought you were a different person and had a Scottish accent, it would be a horror movie, right?
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't fucking know.
That's a very important point. You have to get it to the exam. Oh, the little children, your daddy's not going to go home. Mrs. Doubtfire's here now. Give us a hug. Get out of here, Robin. You're nuts.
Robin. They call him his actual name. Robin, go away.
Let's Tootsie's had a fucking spirit to it. Like she was trying to get ahead in the, or Dustin Hoffman was trying to like get ahead in the world or something, right? Tootsie's wild too.
So
every time I think of Mrs. Doubtfire, I always think of the pie scene.
Oh, it's fucking
So
crazy,
Todd,
bro. You should watch it again with scary music in the background. It's very different,
I'm sure,
like Hitchcock movies.
yeah,
I'm
It's like Psycho.
I'm gonna save I think Gremlins 2 for my next pick because I'm a man of my word. I do not want to not see this movie because I feel like it's gonna go to the wayside because I've never seen it. I'm very excited.
So we're skipping Gremlins 1 and we're watching Gremlins 2.
Oh yeah, obviously.
No, we're in David. I thought we were doing David Lynch.
No, I'm saying next time. I think my next pick's gonna be Gremlins 2 because I'm a man of my word, and I got to do what I was committed to.
Okay.
So we're taking a long. We're getting in the car.
Taking a long trip
Taking a long trip. You know where we're going?
down the Lost Highway.
Field's house.
Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I thought that's what it was going to be. That's great.
I've never seen it, so I'm very excited to see it.
I'm excited too.
And
I've
whose
seen
pick
it
is
once.
after that? Because I'll tell you what my pick will be right now if you want it.
Is that right?
What's that? Sorry.
Yep.
Is Naomi Watts Australian?
Naomi Watts.
She is. She
in
is.
King Kong.
She's not Australian.
Oh,
She
she was
is-
New Zealand.
She was for some reason.
She's British Australian. Hold on.
Naomi Watts in King Kong, the
Peter
remake.
Jackson one?
She moved to Australia, so she's lived in Australia for most of her life, but she was born in England.
So do
She's
you
an
accept her as an
England citizen.
Australian?
I don't think
She
she
a
accepts
citizen of
herself as
Australia?
Australian. I don't
What is
think
her
so.
citizenship?
I think her
Okay.
citizenship is England,
Mm.
but she lived in Australia for a long time.
England
I
is
don't
my
care where
city.
she's from. She's fucking fire, dog.
Mm.
When she's
Okay.
dancing on King Kong's palm, trying to like make her eat. She doesn't want to get killed by King Kong, and so she has to riz King Kong to save her own life, and she does it. She does that whole like dance routine. It's one of the great movie moments, in my opinion.
So she moved to Sydney. She moved to
That's
Sydney
pretty
when
clean.
she moved to Sydney when she was 14. And here's a
Mhm.
quote from her: "I consider
okay.
myself British and have very happy memories of the UK. I spent the first 14 years of my life in England and Wales and never wanted to leave. When I was in Australia, I went back to England a lot. So no, we don't
Oh,
claim
okay,
her.
man. All right.
We don't claim her.
Well, that's what we're
What a
watching. Mulholland
weirdo.
Drive.
Why does she
W.
talk so much shit? Why doesn't she go live in England then, bitch? Right? What did you tell that to Naomi? If you love
Yeah.
it, go back. You have a
Did you tell her that, JC?
you have a
Tell her
air,
that.
air
I should
traffic
tell her that.
access, right?
You should tell her that.
She
Yeah.
has like access to a jet, doesn't she? She's Naomi Watts.
Yeah,
Well, tell her,
probably.
or tell her to stop rapping about Australia on her records. Either
You go
way.
down to the local market. You tap on Jeffrey Rush's shoulder, and you say, "Hey, let me talk to Naomi Watts."
Yeah, and he'll leave me right there.
Naomi
He'll walk
Watts
me
is
there.
here, dog. Naomi Watts is in the next room changing Snoopy's diaper because he has diarrhea because he ate too much oatmeal.
All
Why
right.
are you laughing? Snoopy's here. Why don't you believe Naomi's here?
Oh shit, you're right.
It's gonna be okay.
He's got 2/3 of the equation. Shit.
I guess Ilse is here.
Because I think it's going to work now.
Let's talk.
Because I think it's going to work now. I'm doing this. We're going to finish the
Oh,
episode
God.
with the rest of
Perfect.
this. All right.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
It was so expensive to make that film relative to what I had that I thought that would be it, that it was just an experiment. But someone saw that and commissioned me to make one for him. And that led to another whole thing.
Which was?
Falling in love with film and getting green lights. I made a short film called The Alphabet, and with the money I got from this gentleman who commissioned me. And there's a whole bunch of things that happened, but I ended up making not what he wanted, but something that combined animation and live action. And then I wrote a script for a film called The Grandmother. And at that time, the American Film Institute was starting. And they were offering independent filmmaker grants. And on a real long shot, because they wanted previous work and a script, and I had both those things. So on this long shot, I applied for an independent filmmakers grant. And the first group, I wasn't in the first group, and I had to wait a long time, but I got a phone call that changed my life completely because I won this grant to make The Grandmother. And I made The Grandmother, and on the strength of that, I got accepted to the American Film Institute, which was in Beverly Hills, California, in a mansion. And I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. So I went out there, and one thing led to another, and I got the opportunity to make Eraserhead.
And it
That's
took
great.
him.
Artists need funding. Like we used to have something called the National Endowment of the Arts in this country that funded many of these organizations that led to great careers. That's all been gone. That's all been axed. So there's less, like it's all got to be privately financed now. And so you don't want to owe a wealthy fucking benefactor necessarily unless they're super cool. But because at the end of the day, you still owe them. But you know, they need it because it's not always commercially viable at the onset.
This has been fun. I love David Lynch, and I can't wait to review
Fund
more of
art.
his movies. Fun
Fully
art.
fund art.
Make sure you tune in tomorrow, I think, to Matt Teabagger.
Dungeons and Dragons on Matt Teabagger channel.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Hopefully someone doesn't
3:30
show up late.
Pacific, 4 Pacific. I don't know what character I'm going to be. Maybe Garfield.
District
Playground.
9 review will be dropping tomorrow.
I don't know.
Bye, everybody. Love you.